So it will be Brighton in the change strip of all green to kick us off in North London. Referee this evening is just waiting to get things underway. Stuart Atwell is the man in charge, and there is Yves Bissouma, who again is one of the players said to be very much coveted. Christian Romero very much well received as he returns to the Spurs lineup. And before we get underway, the players, match officials and coaching staff all take a knee. Well, not much separates these two in the Premier League table, an all top-flight encounter, but certainly Alan Hutton, there will be a different degree of expectation on the shoulders of the two clubs.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as we mentioned before, I think for Graham Potter and his side, they can really go out and enjoy this moment, this night, and just lay everything out there and really go for it. For Tottenham, as we said, the last trophy has been far too long, and a team with this quality should really be aiming for higher, aiming for more trophies.
Here is Lamptey. Interested to see how Brighton line up. When we got the team sheets, we were wondering about the formation. Some suggestions that they might actually start with a three at the back, with Cucurella dropping into that trio.
Yeah, definitely, it looks like a three. Just seen that from the start. It looks like Cucurella is going to be left of a three. So I think the big matchups for me tonight is going to be at fullback. That's where it's going to be interesting. Both sides really going for it out wide.
Here is Cucurella. Now Solly March. Lallana's little dink in is to no one in particular, and Lloris makes the gather and is then in a real hurry to get it up towards Harry Kane. Kane asking Reguilon to make a run, and across comes Webster to mop things up for Brighton. Now it's Lamptey up against Davis, and doesn't get the free kick he was hoping for.
I think it shows you the way Tottenham have started this game, that they're going to try and get the ball forward quickly. I mean, there's Lloris getting the ball out his hands early on, getting up to Kane, trying to cause problems, and getting the other two forwards round about and make problems early on, start on the front foot.
Davis. Kane. Son will chase. Sanchez will get there. Brighton have lost on their last 6 visits to Tottenham. You have to go back to 1981 for their last away win against Spurs, when they won 1-0 in the old First Division. That sequence of away defeats includes a 2-1 defeat in the FA Cup in 2005, when Robbie Keane popped up late on for Spurs.
It's amazing how many times that happens. You just get that bogey team where you just can't beat. Mine was always Brentford. Used to always struggle against them, and it looks like Brighton's is Tottenham.
Here comes Davis. Now Reguilon. With players coming back from injury, as well as the fact that both these sides have had that mini winter break, given the lack of any Premier League fixtures last weekend. Should be full of running and energy. Davis thought about the crack. Son tries to give it back to Davis, who almost got there. Pascal Gross stuck out a very important boot.
I think that's what Son gives you coming back into that team, that football intelligence where he sees things behind him, he notices little runs. It's a great little flick. He knows that Davis is about to just run into the box, and he sees him. It's really well played. That's what you expect from a player of that quality.
Antonio Conte lost his first league game as Spurs manager in that defeat to Chelsea, unbeaten in his first 9 league games with Spurs, which was the longest ever unbeaten league start by any Tottenham Hotspur manager.
What's actually crazy about that stat and what you say is it was the exact same squad as Nuno had. and the difference that he's made out of the exact same players is quite remarkable, actually.
Kane jostling and not fouling. Mopé sniffing around. But it is two Premier League sides, but feels like it started like a Premier League game.
Yeah, it does. It's got a good feel to it. Both sides willing to attack each other and really try and make something happen. We know Brighton like to play that way, as do Tottenham, which for me it makes it feel like it could be the makings of a really good game.
Emerson Royal with the shove on Jakob Moder. Impressed to start off with Emerson Royal, but been a few question marks about him recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely question marks there. There's no doubt about his talent going forward. He gives you that forward-thinking threat from a modern-day fullback. The questions for me over him is the defensive side of it. Can he play at that high level defensively that you need to in the Premier League? I'm not so sure.
An interesting international break sent off for Brazil in their World Cup qualifier last week when he got 2 yellow cards in the first 20 minutes.
I've seen that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. That's what I'm saying, defensive. That's where the issue lies.
Would never have happened to you.
Oh.
In from Gross and catching practice for Lloris. Recently signed a contract extension. There had been talk that he might be looking for a new club, a new challenge. Talk that Jordan Pickford was on the Spurs shopping list, but the Frenchman has signed on.
I think it's definitely a position that Tottenham will have to look at in the next year or so. I mean, you look at Galini's there on loan. Is he really going to be the answer? I'm not so sure. It's good that obviously Lloris has signed a new deal, but we're going to have to look forward into the future.
Solly March back in the side. He hasn't started any of the last 4 Premier League games since the draw at Chelsea in December. Last goal actually came in the FA Cup, the 3rd round winner Newport last January, which they won on a penalty shootout. Davis. Reguilon with the big switch. Royal. Just in case you missed it earlier, no Eric Dyer in the side, a precaution due to an injury. Japhet Tanganga also not in the squad this evening due to injury-related reason.
It's actually a position that I'm looking forward to see how this develops tonight. Obviously, Romeo's been brought in, and I think when they were missing Dyer, especially against Chelsea in obviously the first leg of the cup game, they looked very shaky without Dyer in that central spot. So it'll be interesting to see if Romeo can take that on board and really direct that back three, because that is what's been missing in certain games this season.
Big boost to have Christian Romero back since that hamstring injury suffered with Argentina in November. March will chase, but it's dealt with by Davinson Sanchez. Davis. Reguilon into Son. Højbjerg, Kane. Eventually it comes down for Davinson Sanchez. Lucas Moura made the run. Son on his bike, the switch to Reguilon instead. Reguilon behind Lucas Moura. Brazilian does pick up the pieces. Lallana, lovely feet, and that's a free kick.
Yeah, that's a foul, but I think that's where Tottenham are dangerous. When they move the ball quickly, they get it into the feet of Moura, and Son runs off the back of that, or Kane drops deep. That's where they're at their exciting best. They need to keep moving the ball quickly, because if they allow Brighton to get back in shape, that's when it can be difficult. Adam
Lallana making his 50th appearance for Brighton this evening in all competitions, has become a more regular fixture in the side for them this term. He's played in 18 of their 22 Premier League games, starting 16 of them. He only started 16 across the whole of last season.
I think it shows you how well he's probably looked after his body in the later years. I mean, he has had difficulty through injury, but as you've just mentioned his stats there, he's obviously looking after himself really good to keep up those appearances.
Brighton have actually only won 2 of their last 9 FA Cup matches against Premier League sides, though 2 of those victories have come since the Seagulls themselves were promoted to the top division in 2017, and they're on the move here. Mopé, angle against him. Offloads to Basuma. March. Had the chance to get the cross in, but delayed. It's Cucurella instead. Now Basuma. Webster. Cucurella. Here's Solly March. Basuma. Cucurella. That's good. And that's well defended by Davinson Sanchez. Lallana picks up the pieces. Hacked clear by Højbjerg. And then two Brighton players collide. Fortunately for them,
very fortunate.
Not to any damage.
Yeah, very fortunate there. A little bit of communication needed, but lucky to get away with that one there.
Only 6 points off Tottenham in 5th are Brighton. They're currently 9th in the Premier League, though they have played 2 games more than Spurs. Second most points that they've had after 22 games of a top division season in the club's history. And it means that they can approach this with the handbrake off. There are Premier League games coming up in midweek, but they don't need to have one eye on those matches that are forthcoming.
You can actually tell by the way they play. They play with a swagger, a confidence. They move the ball about well. They're all comfortable in possession of the ball. And that's because where they are in the league, they're not looking over their shoulder anymore. They're comfortable, so they can go out and express themselves on a weekly basis, and we're seeing that on the pitch.
Kane. Dunk leaps in. Kane wants the free kick, but he's disappointed. Stuart Atwell's not interested. Lamptey just about gets there and then doesn't get the free kick. Well, belatedly, the whistle goes from Stuart Atwell. Initially, I didn't think he was going to give it.
I thought he was going to allow play on there. It did look a foul to me. I'm sure it is a foul. It's going to need to be an excellent ball to get round the back of Lamptey and beat him for pace, but Reguilón just catches his feet, just pulls him away from him. It was a definite foul, and the ref's right to blow up on that one. You're going to need some serious afterburners to get behind Lamptey tonight, I think.
Well, he is rapid, had the highest recorded top speed in the Premier League last season.
Is that right, even with Traore?
36.6 kilometres an hour, I'm informed.
Wow, that's special.
Would have just about beaten you in a foot.
I think that would have been easy enough.
Højbjerg, here's Kane. He's going to have a go! Oh, yes! Harry Kane with a cracker to give Tottenham Hotspur the lead. That is sublime from Spurs starman, especially when it comes to the FA Cup. 12 goals in his last 12 matches in the oldest cup competition of all now.
Nothing surprises me with this guy. He is built for the big occasions, and yet again he steps up. And you know, Brighton will be annoyed because they were sloppy. They gave the ball away a few times just before that. But when you give the ball to Harry Kane in this situation and you don't close him down, you allow him the space, he opens up his body, he opens up the goal, and it's an unbelievable finish. The goalkeeper, Sanchez, has absolutely no chance of getting a hand on that. Great finish from Harry Kane.
Well, all of his last 4 goals in the FA Cup had come as a substitute, including their 3rd and final goal against Morecambe in the last round. And an early celebration for Antonio Conte as Kane does the business. But Sanchez actually made his Brighton debut in a 2-1 defeat here in the Premier League in November 2020. Beaten early on in his latest trip to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
You can't give a forward like Harry Kane that sort of space, 18 yards out, 19 yards out. You have to go and engage, you have to go and get tight, because he's got that ability to just bend the ball out round you into the back of the net. We've seen it on multiple occasions. You must get tight to him.
Lallana. Here's Mopé, now Pascal Gross. And I guess we've seen there the risk and reward when it comes to playing out from the back that you will get when you're employing that kind of philosophy.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, but the one thing I will say about Graham Potter is he sticks to his philosophy. It doesn't matter, he'll always play that way.
No one could stick to Lamptey there, but he can stick it towards a fellow Brighton player. Only senior goal for Tariq Lamptey came in that 2-1 defeat here in November 2020. Started 8 of their last 12 in the league, his only start since December 2020 due to injury.
I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, what a touch. And if you see if you see Dunk here, he recognises what's about to happen. He knows he's going to take a shot, but he actually turns his back slightly. It'd be better, you're 19 yards out, go and engage in him, try and get a touch, try and get a block on, and then worry about whatever happens after that. But there, it does neither, and it ends up in the back of the net, so you have to be tight.
Takes him to 299 senior career goals in 498 appearances for clubs and England combined.
Oh, it's a great record, isn't it? Oh, I'd love to score that many goals.
Here's Emerson Royal bursting forwards. Son has it taken off him by Lamptey. And it will be a Tottenham throw, much to his consternation. Reguilon. Here's Davis. A really lively and energetic start to the game.
And this is what Conte expects from his team. I mean, he wants that high pressure, that intense football. And obviously Brighton, they're away from home. They're quite happy to sit back at the moment, but they've also been decent in possession out with the goal. So they'll look to keep on continuing the same way and try and get a foothold of this game, because Tottenham are on top at the moment.
Yeah, that 2-0 loss at Chelsea last time out. Their first Premier League defeat under Antonio Conte since he was appointed in November, and it really has been that marked difference to their play. They've gone from covering the least distance and committing the fourth fewest fouls under Nuno Espirito Santo to covering the most distance and committing the fourth most fouls. So very obvious differences in the way they're going into games. Here's Gross looking for Lamptey, and Romero read the danger well.
It's amazing hearing that stat there, because the running side of it is just down to mentality. It's the exact same players, and you expect better from them, so Nuno's probably annoyed when he reads those sort of stats.
Well, Brighton may be annoyed about the manner in which they fell behind, although it was ruthlessly punished by Harry Kane. Here's Bissouma. Nice feet, not a great strike though.
Yeah, that looks like my sort of strike there. It was really well played, to be fair. It just kind of fell to the wrong guy. I mean, you don't expect Bissouma, even though he chops back on his left, it's a good move. He sells Højbjerg the dummy, and in fact I think it's Harry Winks. He does well to make that yard of space, but kind of wrong guy in that situation. He does slip, so we'll let him away with that one, should we say.
He's been away on international duty, Yves Bissouma, at the Africa Cup of Nations with Mali. It was actually his first international call-up since October 2018, which I'm sure Graham Potter was delighted about.
Yeah, I bet he is. He's been in fantastic form. I mean, he's a great player for them, and it doesn't really surprise me that there's a lot of other teams out there desperate for his signature, so we'll have to wait and see how that develops in the summer.
Pascal Gross. Webster. Now Dunk. It is a timely return to the side for Dunk, with Dan Burn departing for Newcastle. Graham Potter was fairly philosophical about it. He wished him all the best, said he's a great guy. He actually had a bit of a laugh at his expense, talking about how Adama Traore had managed to get a move to Barcelona, mainly because of what he saw as one really good performance where Dan Burn was left a bit like Bambi on ice when he was operating at left back.
Look, to be fair, Adama Traore, I've been on the end of it, he can do that to anybody, but look, for Dan Burn going back to his hometown club, you can totally understand why.
Skids through to Robert Sanchez.
I actually think it's nice that your manager comes out and gives you that kind of glowing report and wishes you all the best. You don't normally see that in today's game. It's normally some sort of reason why a player leaves a club, so it's good to see that.
So it was a good deal for everyone all round. Dan Burn getting to go back to his hometown club, and Brighton pocketing the money. And also, I think that we've really seen Adam Webster come on leaps and bounds as well. He's really emerged into a towering presence at the back. They've still got Shane Duffy to call upon from the bench as well. And obviously trying out Cucurella as one of the centre-halves this evening as well. Shows, again, the approach Graham Potter has, because not many would have seen Dan Burn operating as a wing-back, but Graham Potter saw the potential in him as well. And here is Cucurella looking for Solly March.
Yeah, it was always good seeing Dan Burn striding down that left-hand side or wherever he was playing. It was always good to see.
Winks upended by Basuma. Most tackles and interceptions in the Premier League for Brighton this season.
He just gets the wrong side there, doesn't he? He's trying to win the ball. He's trying to win the ball high up, be aggressive, but he just gets caught the wrong side of Harry Winks there.
As you mentioned, admiring glances have certainly been cast in the Mali international's direction. He reportedly handed in a transfer request in May, linked with the other side from North London, Arsenal, as well as Liverpool. No way through for Moda. Now Son. Here's Harry Kane in his own box. Davinson Sanchez making up the yards. Romero. Son. Davis. Højbjerg. Lucas Moura just put out of his stride by Cucurella. Gross. That's an intelligent ball, lovely dummy, and Lallana would have got it back had Romero not been on his mettle.
That was really unlucky. I mean, you can actually see what Brighton are trying to do. They're trying to set traps and then win the ball and then break quickly.
Could be in trouble here though. Winks has Kane to his right. He's going to go for it himself instead. That's comfortable for Robert Sanchez.
I don't blame him after his last goal in the last round. It was an absolute worldie as well, so I don't really blame him from having a shot from distance. He's very capable, shall we say. He turns really well here, doesn't he? He sees the space in front of him. It all kind of opens up. It's easy for Sanchez in the end, but he's got that awareness to spot the opportunity to have a strike. And like I said, after his last goal, why not?
Magnificent one against Morecambe in the last round of the Cup in January, but his only goal since January of last year as well for Winks. Cucurella, room here for Pascal Gross. Midway through what has been a pretty engrossing first half. Here is the German. Now Webster. Nice touch from Gross, slightly behind Moda. Romero, Winks, that's intelligent. Emerson Royal on his bike. Solly March getting back at him, and he is quick, March. Royal still has it though, and gets the ball in, it's gone in! How on earth has that ended up in the back of the Seagulls net? Emerson Royal won't care, he'll be claiming his first ever goal for Tottenham Hotspur. And it's Spurs who are very much in charge of this cup tie now. Tottenham 2, Brighton 0.
Oh, it was a great run. What a celebration for scoring a goal at that, but we'll let him away with it. It's a great run down the right-hand side. We know that's where Emerson Royal wants to be. He wants to be charging down the right-hand side. Solly March actually does the right thing he gets back in, he keeps up for him stride for stride, he pushes him out wide where you want to put him, but look, he's just trying to stop the cross. It's really, really unlucky. It looks up and over Sanchez. There's nothing he can do about that. But Tottenham are in the driving seat at 2-0. It's all up to Brighton now. Can they come back into this?
Well, the summer signing from Barcelona will be hoping that that will go down as his goal. Would be his first for the club and his first since scoring for Real Betis a year ago. Antonio Conte won't be too bothered about who gets the credit, because his side are in the box seat already. Lots of work for Brighton to do now.
Antonio Conte will not care one bit. That was a massive slice of luck, but he'll take that, no problem.
Bissouma. Lallana, that's weak. Son onto it. Here's Davinson Sanchez. Dug up towards Kane. Nicely shunted back to Lucas Moura. Just a shade too much on it for Son.
I think Brighton moving forward from here, don't let the game run away from you. Don't let them score another one and then it's out of sight. I think they have to be patient, get back into the game, play a few passes, play the way we know they can, because they've not really troubled Lloris in goal, really. So they need to try and create something, but don't let it get out of sight.
And they had to come from behind against Morecambe in the third round. Scored 3 times in the final 16 minutes to get themselves through to this stage. But this evening, they've got themselves into a very comfortable position early on. Looking to make it 8 home wins in a row against Brighton in all competitions, which is a run that dates all the way back to 1982. The only other FA Cup meeting between the clubs came in January 2005 in the third round, when Ledley King and Robbie Keane both scored in a 2-1 victory for Tottenham at White Hart Lane. Cucurella. Lallana. Winks. Kane, beautifully done to set Reguilon away. Son waits in the middle. Reguilon can't find him. Winks will have a crack. No worries for Sanchez.
I think the difference between the two teams are, when Tottenham win the ball back, they're sitting in a defensive shape. When they win the ball back, they're moving really quickly. They're getting the ball to Son or Moura or Reguilon, making things happen. Where Brighton, on the other hand, they're doing well to set traps and win the ball, but when they get into that final third, they're not really doing anything with it. I mean, here we see the goal again. That is a massive slice of luck. Fair play. He's trying to get the ball in the box. It takes a wicked deflection. There's nothing the goalkeeper can do. But as a former fullback, I'll take any sort of goal. I would be celebrating that no problem as well, so I'm with them.
Well, it would cap a up and down week for the Brazilian, who, as I mentioned, was sent off for 2 yellows in the first 20 minutes of their World Cup qualifier last week.
I actually think if that was me that scored that, I would have said I meant that. I was trying to hit it off his foot and up and over him.
The Hutton technique.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Here is Solly March, who just heard is actually going to get the credit for the goal. Not that he would have wanted it. It's a March own goal, so the fullbacks union have seen their appeals fall on deaf ears.
Oh, that's disappointing. That is disappointing.
Lamptey, back to Webster. Cucurella wins the header. Mote making a nuisance of himself. Lallana's worked it on. March deflected, but that's a deflection that actually helps out the keeper.
Yeah, definitely. It took the sting out the shot there, the deflection. March in the right area. You wanted to follow his left foot. It was unlucky.
Trouble here for Brighton. Højbjerg for Harry Kane. Kane! Oh, how on earth did Son miss that? Was Harry Kane even trying to pick out his teammate, or was he going for goal? Either way, it's a big let-off for Brighton.
Well, it's another fantastic counter-attack. I mean, like I said earlier, with pace and purpose, Højbjerg just holds onto the ball at the right time, and this is clever. He's going for goal here. He's actually waited, he's sat dunked down, and he's trying to just dink it over the keeper. It's really unlucky. But at the back post, if you want anybody, it's Son there. You expect him just to tap that in. I wonder if he's just thinking about the post. He's worried about maybe clattering into the post, and that's what's put him off.
Well, Son was disappointed, but it wasn't a patch on how much agony his coach was in. Antonio Conte couldn't believe that Spurs didn't make it 3 and all but kill the game off already. And Potter will be concerned at the ease with which Spurs are slicing through his back line. They've had a decent amount of the ball. They haven't looked too flustered in possession at times, but it could easily have been a lot worse for his side already.
I think that is the worry. You hit the nail on the head there. It's the ease that Tottenham are going through them. I mean, they are moving the ball with pace, but it is far too easy. Every time they attack, they're coming up with an opportunity.
Perhaps not an ideal game for Cucurella to be getting a taste of playing as one of those 3 centre-halves.
That's where you wonder, has Graham Potter made a little mistake? I mean, he's done unbelievably well so far, but Cucurella going forward on the left-hand side, Lamptey on the right, that's where they cause problems, and they've had none of that really in this first 30 minutes.
Webster can only cushion that out of play for a Tottenham throw. Antonio Conte was pulling no punches when he spoke about the transfer situation at Spurs. Told the club that they must pay more attention in the market after mistakes in the past. He has just had his first transfer window with the club. Here's Reguilon meanwhile. Davis makes the offer. Can't find Son, although it's won back by Reguilon, who has picked out Son. Now it's Kane. Lofted back to Son. No flag for now. Son back across. And Emerson Royal looking for a goal of his own there, but the flag would have denied him it anyway.
Brighton are really at 6s and 7s here, especially defensively. They really don't know what to do, whether they squeeze up tight and get close to people or drop off. And we know how well Harry Kane and Son link up. So it's really unlucky there.
Well, if he had put that in the net, it wouldn't have been struck off for offside, because Son was on when we saw the replay.
It was definitely onside from the Harry Kane pass. It was well timed. It was just unlucky there that they couldn't finish that off.
Here's Reguilon. Tottenham look hungry. Marked difference to the performance that we saw in their last league game when they were beaten at Stamford Bridge. Not a happy hunting ground for them historically anyway, but it was a fairly limp showing away at Chelsea. Completely different story this evening.
You know, sometimes I think there's the problem. There is a gap between the likes of Tottenham and Chelsea at the top end of the team, at the league, sorry. I mean, at Brighton, they're running away with it here, and I think that's probably the difference, and that's why Conte keeps on talking about it.
Kane has bypassed Lamptey, which means it's collected by Reguilon. Højbjerg spotted the run round the back. Royal's header nearly came to another member of the back line. Davinson Sanchez couldn't get there in time, though.
Emerson Royal's having a good impact on that right-hand side. I know I said I question him defensively, but he's not really had much to do on the defensive side of it. It's a loop ball in, but he gets up really well. It's a great height that he manages to leap, and he does well to knock it across. Sanchez in the middle. I don't think he was ever going to really get on the end of that.
Well, in terms of the ball, not anything to choose between the sides, but Spurs have certainly been the bigger force in the first 33.5 minutes. As well as covering more distance and getting their foot in more often, Antonio Conte has also improved the amount of chances that Spurs are creating in matches as well. It was the second worst in the Premier League under Nuno Espirito Santo. It's now the third most in the top division.
That seems to be the Conte way to me. If you're not going to run, you're not going to work hard, do what I like on the pitch, then you won't play. I mean, you look at Ndombele, the record signing away out on loan. It's £100 million worth of talent out on loan at the moment. You can see why he's frustrated at times.
Well, he did make that frustration clear in the week when he mentioned mistakes that have been made by the club in the past. Ndombele, the record signing, as Alan mentioned, Lo Celso and Brian Hill all left on loan. And they weren't cheap signings. Ndombele 54 million, Lo Celso 27 million, and Hill joined for 22.5 in July. And he made the point that usually when you buy players to reinforce your team, if you send them on loan after a year or two, it's strange and means that maybe you have to have a look at what you didn't understand, that you've made some errors. Two of those that have come in on the bench in Bentancur and Kulusevski. Bissouma finding Cucurella. Brighton trying to find a foothold in the game. March for Bissouma. On to Webster. Bissouma. Here's Cucurella. Slipped in to Solly March. March again. 4 Brighton bodies in the area, and March gets it in towards Lallana, who couldn't bring it under his spell.
It was unlucky there. March does well. Gets down the line, gets a wicked ball in. Really unlucky there. But that's where they have to do better. The final third, I think, we've seen the possession stats there, 50-50. They're doing well holding on to the ball, but it's what you do with it, and that's where they've not been good enough.
Bissouma. Now Cucurella.
Like that. I mean, it's all set up for a kind of full-back battle, if you want. I mean, we speak about Royale on one side, Reggie on another. There's question marks about them defensively. You have to get at them, commit to them 1v1. I mean, it's unlucky. I mean, it's fired in from Solly March. It's going to be very difficult to do anything. Lallana even get that under control, so he gets it on target, but it's never really going to trouble Lloris.
As you mentioned, Alan, with Cucurella coming into play as one of the 3 centre-halves there, missing the usual industry and endeavour that they get from him when he plays as a full-back, although that's in towards Lallana. It just took too long. Cucurella sticks out a boot. Bissouma. Mope. Here's Bissouma. Showed too much of it to Lucas Moura. Højbjerg got in a tangle, and Royal puts his boot through it.
That's better though. I mean, Cucurella, we know he's in the back 3, but that one play there where he's up the pitch, he's actually made something happen. He's made a forward-thinking pass, and it's almost come to something. So I'm wondering if Graham Potter's sitting there thinking, well, at half-time, maybe I'll look to change the formation.
I mentioned what they miss when it comes to Cucurella not playing in a wide defensive position. He has put in the most crosses from open play and made the most sprints for Brighton this season, and he's not going to be able to do that as efficiently when he's operating as a centre-half.
No, that's the last thing you do as a centre-half. When you're playing in a 3, you defend, you don't go forward.
Mope. March. Cucurella. Here's Bissouma. Worked the space well. Now finds Gross. Lamptey wants it. It's Bissouma instead. Bissouma, that's clever. Mope! It's a chance, and they haven't had many clear-cut opportunities.
That is a big chance. Bissouma does really well. He drives, but not just that. Look at his movement. He doesn't just sit and admire the pass. He makes the run forward. It's a lovely back heel to Mope, but he's he's turning, his whole body weight is falling down, falling away from him, so it's always going to rise up. Very difficult technique to get right, but good effort, good signs.
Brighton's top scorer this season, 8 goals so far. His last coming in the FA Cup, the 2-1 win at West Brom in January. Spurs on the move. Moda. Lucas Moura. Here's Kane. Harry Kane going for another. Sanchez does enough to keep it at bay, although it wasn't the most convincing save.
I mean, you really wonder there, don't you? I mean, Harry Kane's already scored a goal where Dunk didn't get close to him, and there's Webster. You can't get close to him. You have to get tight. You can't allow Harry Kane that time on the edge of the box to get strikes off, because he will score goals from there.
Davis. Kane. Here's Son.
I mean, this is really good work, but as I said before, defensively they've been a little bit all over the place. I think as a back three, one has to come out and commit. You have to close down Harry Kane, because you know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get shots off. So whether it be Dunk or Webster, we've seen it with the first goal. You have to get tight there and not allow him to have that kind of room.
Gross. Cucurella got in the muddle with March. Spurs insistent that the throw should go their way, and it does.
Look at Højbjerg there. I mean, he's celebrating winning the ball. That shows you the difference in mentality between the two teams. I mean, they're stopping the ball, going out of play, they're running after it quickly, getting the hand on play and starting quickly. They're a different side from under Nuno with the same players, which is really incredible to think about.
Davinson Sanchez. It's been an excellent first half from Tottenham Hotspur's perspective. Davis. Son. Davis. Reguilon. Now Son. Spurs happy to just keep the ball now with half-time in sight.
That's the thing, they're 2-0 up, they're comfortable in possession. They're not really getting closed down. They don't really need to force it if they don't want. So, see out to half-time, it's all up to Brighton. What can they do to change the outcome of this fixture? At the moment, possibly formation, probably a change, but we'll need to see something.
Lucas Moura trying to lift it towards Son. Webster in the way. Fairly even split with where Spurs have been trying to do the damage.
Yeah, as we know they like to get the ball out wide. Have the wing backs flying forward and creating for the front three, and they don't tend to pick one side over the other. They're quite happy going down either, which is obviously good.
Webster to Cucurella. I wonder if there has been a bit of a tweak, as he seems to be drifting more out to that left-hand side.
Yeah, they have to do something. They need to get back into this game quickly.
Lamptey couldn't clear Romero. Son beaten to it by Dunk. Basuma took it neatly. Yeah, a bit of foul on Barch, but Stuart Atwell didn't give it. Doesn't give that either. Basuma, now Gross, and Brighton gets something before the break. Might do here! It's a chance for Jakub Moda, and he should have at least tested Hugo Lloris from there.
I mean, that really is your opportunity, isn't it? Just before half-time, you haven't been at your best, but you get a great chance, should we say. They work it really well. We know this is what they like to do. Get the ball into Mopé's feet, and he's got the awareness just to drop it back for obviously Moder coming onto the ball. He's unlucky. If that could have went in, that could have been the difference maker. Really unlucky.
Chase on for Son. Lamptey will win the race. Here's Lamptey again. Cucurella. Final minute of a first half that has fairly flown by.
I mean, just look at the determination there from the Tottenham team to close down. You've got Højbjerg screaming at his players round about him to go and get tight. The ball's out, then switched out into width, into space, and Son is chasing everything down. Does well to get the tackle. That's why they're 2-0 up, because they're closing everything down, not giving Brighton a second minute to get any time on the ball, really.
Gross. Lamptey, just the one additional minute, and it's going to be one more free kick for Brighton. Dunk. Cucurella. Picked up by Lucas Moura. Emerson Royal. Deflection on his ball forwards and a deflection on his cross, which ended up in the back of Robert Sanchez's net after a superb strike from Harry Kane earlier on, set the tone for Tottenham Hotspur. It's not going to be Royal's goal, but it certainly has been the home side's night so far. It's a long way back for Brighton after that own goal from Solly March. Harry Kane and co looking good to make it through to round 5 once again. At the break, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 0. Joel Veltman coming on at the break for Brighton then in place of Adam Lallana, so it will be reverting to the normal back four for Brighton to try and adjust the flow of the game, because as we said, that use of Cucurella as a third centre-half didn't really work out for the Seagulls in the first period.
Yeah, I mean, I think that will suit Brighton better. Obviously, Cucurella can now get forward, he can go in the overlap, Lamptey's higher up, so he can cause problems, and Veltman will just slot in at that right back and do his defending shift. So I think that is what Graham Potter is looking for in this second half.
Cucurella in more familiar surroundings now, at left back. Bit of a shame for Lallana, who hadn't had a bad half.
No, he hadn't. He was getting involved in that final third, but things weren't just quite coming off, and I think sometimes a manager has to make that decision to change the formation, and that's what he's done.
Lamptey's picked the pocket of Harry Kane and has tried to set March away, but just overcooked it. Well, there was appeal for a free kick there from Højbjerg. He stayed on the deck waiting for it, and eventually Stuart Atwell saw it his way too.
A few of the players are looking a little bit confused there, especially Lamptey. Wasn't too sure about that one. Højbjerg, you know what he's trying to do. He's just trying to go forward with the ball, and he just gets caught. It's an accident, but look, it is a foul.
the other things that Conte has brought to Spurs is a bit more steel at the back. They've kept 5 clean sheets in their 10 Premier League games under him. Didn't manage to keep any in their final 7 league matches under Nuno Espirito Santo, so finding a way back into this is going to be tricky for Brighton, especially as they don't tend to score many goals themselves, the Seagulls.
I think that is the problem there, that they do score goals sometimes, they play good football, but when they're going 2-0 down in games, you don't really think they're going to be a team who's going to go on and score 3. I mean, it can still be done, we'll wait and see, but
Reguilon. Brighton scoring 23 goals in their 22 Premier League matches this season. Only Norwich, Burnley, Wolves and Newcastle have scored fewer than them.
And that tells you everything that you need to know right there and then. So it's going to be difficult for them again. But look, they'll continue to work hard in this game.
Cucurella. Nice pass to pick out Mopé. Lamptey is asking for it. Gross keeps it for himself for now. Veltman's ball in. Mopé stuck out a boot. Moda!
That's a good move. I mean, it's really unlucky. It's just rising, he's just slightly leaning back, but he's got Lloris worried in that goal. It's a good move. And the thing that I do like is, Lamptey now is giving the defence of Tottenham a problem, because he's playing out wide, he's playing high up the pitch. Davis is getting pulled out of position, which is opening up areas like that for strikes on goal.
Solly March, part of the furniture at Brighton, signed from Lewis back in November 2011.
You don't see that often now, do you, nowadays? Normal players are just kind of bounce about from club to club. Very rarely do you see somebody at the one for such a sustained period of time.
Here's one of the new men at Brighton, Cucurella, helping to win it back. They just look a bit more comfortable already now, having switched back to a back 4. And they've got themselves a free kick in a promising area now too.
I think they're now going to ask questions, as I said before, of Tottenham defensively. They've given them a problem. They're putting people up in areas where there's gaps behind obviously the wing backs of Tottenham. So that's what's creating space for them, and they're getting opportunities out of it.
Don't think he agreed with the decision.
He can be very animated, can't he, on the side of the pitch. I quite like it. I quite enjoy watching him.
Well, he is a winner. He has won the FA Cup before. His final game as Chelsea manager was their FA Cup final victory over Manchester United in May 2018. He was then sacked by the Blues 7 weeks later. Delivered by Pascal Gross, and March was in unopposed, but then made a mess of his attempt to get it back across goal.
I think he was asking a lot of March there. For him to try and angle that ball back into the box, it wasn't a great free kick in. They have to do better with situations like that. They have to make something happen. A better ball into the box where they can actually go and attack. They've sent the big guys up, needs to be better.
Maybe one of the new arrivals might be getting a run out soon, or maybe both of them, Bentancur and Kulusevski. Cucurella will take the throw. Here's Bissouma. Rides the challenge from Højbjerg and has a crack that's deflected and forces a fine stop from Hugo Lloris. Readjusted his body really well there, the Spurs skipper. Webster. Veltman, here's Gross. Lamptey. Cucurella springing the step of Brighton despite the scoreline.
He looks so much more comfortable. It's unbelievable how you can change the formation, everybody just falls into place.
Cucurella's ball in. Needed dealing with from Davis. Veltman onto it. And Veltman across. Could have gone anywhere. And eventually goes behind for a goal kick.
They're absolutely piling on the pressure just now. They're finding real good areas of the pitch and exploiting Tottenham, getting in behind them here. I mean, Cucurella, that's where we want to see him, high up the pitch, putting balls into the box, and really unlucky here. They had a number of opportunities. There's a scramble there at the end up, and they do well, Tottenham, to clear it, but this is so much better already in this second half. What a save. That is an outstanding save. Bissouma, we know he can hit it from distance. Romero gets a good touch on it, but it sends Lloris the wrong way, and how well he does to shift his weight from one foot to the other to get a big hand on that. Excellent save.
Bissouma's last goal came in the fourth round of the FA Cup last season in Brighton's win against Blackpool. Reguilon back to Kane. Højbjerg misses out Winks and finds Davinson Sanchez. Nice disguise on that. Over goes Royal. March. Laid off by Mopé. Bissouma skips clear of Lucas Moura, rolls away from Royal. That might be a yellow card.
He's so good at that, he's powerful. He does those driving runs, he commits people in towards him, making fouls, and that gets him high up the pitch. It gives him a breather and gets ready to go again.
I think the Brazilian's a bit fortunate there not to have picked up a booking.
Yeah, definitely. He was definitely driving into space, wasn't he?
Here's Bissouma. Graham Potter will be very happy with the way they've started this second half. He's won 6 major trophies in his 15-year managerial career, 4 Serie A titles and a Premier League and an FA Cup with Chelsea. It's the reason Daniel Levy brought him in to try and get that long-awaited trophy back in the cabinet, but he also knows that Conte won't bite his lip if he's not happy with things, as we've seen with those comments about the club needing to learn their lessons from mistakes they've made in the past when it's come to transfer dealings.
I think when you bring in an elite manager, and I think we all can agree that Antonio Conte is, you're going to have to deal with what his ambitions moving forward, especially as an owner. And he's going to want his own team, he's going to want his own players through the door, and you have to match his ambition if you want him at your club.
Here's Davinson Sanchez. Royal rolled straight into Dunk. Cucurella. Sanchez balloons that forwards. Lamptey got up really well there against Davis and gets in really well to make the challenge too.
That's better, that's where you want to see him playing. High up that pitch, giving Davis a problem. Some leap from him as well. Gets up high.
Lamptey, who was born in Hillingdon in London, is of Ghanaian descent. He's reported to be contacted about the Ghanaian FA about switching allegiance, and Ghana have recently appointed Chris Hughton as their head coach. See a man with connections to Tottenham Hotspur and to Brighton and Hove Albion.
You can totally understand why they're trying to get him. Some of his performances have been really outstanding, and a lot of people have got eyes on him, especially for the future seasons ahead.
Here is Lamptey, cut up by Romero. Moda got a touch to it. Well, it's been Brighton's opening 10 minutes of the second half, that's for sure. But they don't have anything to show for it. They're asking to have a free kick, but Stuart Atwell's not minded to give them one.
They're just missing that clinical edge. They've got good possession, they're making things happen now, they're getting balls into the box. They just need that little opening, just be clinical, get the ball in the net, could possibly turn this game around.
Well, shorn of the services of Leandro Trossard this evening due to illness. That's Graham Potter said about the Belgian not being involved, and Only Neil Maupay scored more goals for Brighton this season than Trossard, so source of firepower missing for them. They do have Danny Welbeck, the former Arsenal man, on the bench. He's come up with some late goals to get them out of trouble this season. There's going to be a yellow card here for the challenge on Son Heung-min.
Yeah, it was a tackle from Veltman. I think it is a yellow card. He goes in to get tight and close and put pressure on Son. He's just that yard too quick for him. He gets the ball past him and he catches him just above the ankle. Yellow card is right for me.
So the substitute is the first player in the book of Stuart Atwell this evening.
I think he's just letting Son know he's in for a game. He's not going to get an easy night off him. Just letting him know he's there as a fullback.
A relief for Tottenham to have him back after he picked up that injury against Chelsea in their League Cup semi-final first leg loss. Here is the South Korean. Now Winks. Winks on the stretch too far, ran into Basuma. Coming together there, and the decision goes Brighton's way. Basuma asking for a bit more from the referee as well.
Basuma's been really good. The opening of this second half, he's working hard, he's driving forward, he's committing players, and you know he's going to be tenacious, but that's a foul. I mean, he's grabbing his arm. That's a yellow card in my book.
There's a couple of Spurs players who have been a bit fortunate that they've not seen a caution coming their way. That's going to break to Harry Kane, and Son wants it. Kane gives it to him. Son! It's weak, and it's very poor by his very high standards, having been teed up by his big mate.
Yeah, it's sloppy play from Brighton again, but you only expect one outcome when these two link up and they get into that sort of area. Son does really well, he opens up his body, but you're right, it's just a weak finish. He just passes it back, he doesn't really commit to anything. Hitting his laces through it or finding that far corner, it's a goal missed, definitely.
Despite being out with injury for a month or so, he is Tottenham's top Premier League scorer this season with 8 goals. Second top scorer in all competitions, behind Harry Kane. Here's Cucurella.
Son and Kane, they just work so well together. I mean, you never get tired as a fan watching those two play with each other, because they make things happen. When one's not playing, you totally tell they're missing another one. It's really good to have them back.
Sanchez, an hour on the clock. Brighton readying their second change. Number 5 substitutes allowed in the FA Cup. They can be a bit more liberal with their alterations. Solly March doesn't have far to go as he is withdrawn, and Moises Caicedo is the player coming on, recalled from his loan with the Belgian club Beerschot Racing, in time to prepare for this one. He's helped Ecuador to the brink of World Cup qualification. And Graham Potter's intrigued to see what he can offer for the rest of the season after returning from that loan early. He says that since he's come back, he's looked good. He's been away on international duty, which has been good as well, but not so good because they've not been able to see him. Here's Cucurella. Brighton still very much in this, despite the scoreline.
It's that old cliche where 2-0 is a very dangerous score, because if Brighton do get one back, I mean, this game can turn total round on its head, so they're still in with this. They just need to be that little bit more clinical, but they're trying.
Lamptey drifts it across. Here's Cucurella. And there is a Brighton and Hove Albion corner. It's the first of the game.
think where Brighton were doing well is where they were moving the ball quickly into Mope's feet and then bouncing it off and trying to make things happen. If you put a just aimless ball into the box, he's never really going to win it unless you actually pick him out. So trying to get the ball into his feet could work for them.
Pascal Gross, who's usually reliable with dead ball deliveries. In from the German, and it will be another bite of the cherry for Pascal Gross. Take two for Gross, and Lloris just about deals with it. Spurs creaking a little despite their 2-goal advantage. Nice from Gross. And here is Caicedo, who's got it in well. Gross sniffing around too. Romero got his head to it. Basuma. And Basuma. Oh, it's in! Brighton back in it! Yves Basuma gives the Seagulls reward for their strong start to the second half, and having been on the back foot for the majority of the game, it's game on now.
It's been coming. Tottenham have really looked nervous this second half, and Basuma's done really well. He just keeps driving, he knows nobody can tackle him, and again he gets a massive bit of luck there. It comes off Højbjerg's back, he turns his body, he really needs to try and face that up to block it. Lloris and the goal has got absolutely no chance, but Brighton have been worth this. They've been excellent in this second half.
One fortunate deflection apiece now with Solly March's own goal from Royal's attempted cross, and now that strike from Basuma deflected in off Højbjerg to give Graham Potter's side something to chew on now.
Yeah, the luck has definitely been on both sides tonight, but I just think watching the goal again, Højbjerg turns his back. I think he has to come out and really face it. He's the guy that gets in people's faces, and when you turn your back it can hit off anywhere, and that's why it's beat Lloris. So needs to do better there.
Kane, here's Son. Could have been all over if he'd put away that chance earlier on in the second half when Kane set him away. Instead of 3-0, it's 2-1.
You wonder if that's the wake-up call Tottenham were needing, because they were a little bit flat in this second half, maybe thinking that the game was possibly over.
Well, certainly that change in personnel and tweak in formation has really worked out well for Brighton, but defending to do here, and Sanchez smothers to gratefully grab the ball in from Reguilon.
I think that shows you how good a manager Graham Potter actually is, because he's recognised that it's not working, he's made a few changes, and they've come out firing in this second half, so well done him.
Cucurella wins the header. Højbjerg. Now it's Son. Kane screaming for it. Still Son on the drive here. What a run from Son Heung-min. Oh, and it might go in. Kane's there. And Spurs re-establish their 2-goal lead. Harry Kane at the double after superb stuff from Son.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, Son, he's been out for a while, he's come back. What a burst of pace. He knows he's got one thing in his mind, that he's going to drive, he's going to commit. I questioned obviously Tottenham in this second half, but they were poor, they've come up with the goods here. You don't maybe expect Son to have this burst right away. As we said, he's just come back, but he just switches it on here. He's got one thing in his mind, I'm going to be positive. I actually thought he'd lost it. I thought he'd maybe given up the opportunity, but Kane, all good strikers, are going to follow in. He knows there's an opportunity there, he can sniff it out, slides in, good goal, good finish.
The unfair thing here is I don't even think Son will get an assist for that, because Webster's touch was the one that was poked in by Harry Kane, but while Kane showed predatory instincts, it was the industry of Son that has given Antonio Conte's side their 2-goal cushion back.
For once, I don't think he'll be bothered about getting the assist or not. They were really under a lot of pressure. Brighton done really well to get back into the game and to go right up the other end of the pitch and put the ball in the back of the net really settles them back down, because they were struggling for the first part of that half.
Oh, but Brighton could be in again here. It's Mopé, and it's tame. And it's a very grateful gather from Hugo Lloris, because Brighton were almost back in it once more.
Has this just turned into a basketball game?
Well, when games are end-to-end in the league, you say it's got a feel of a cup tie about it. Here's Lucas Moura. Kane. He could have given it for either of those challenges. The whistle has gone from Stuart Atwell.
Yeah, no complaints there. It's definitely a foul, but both teams are breaking so quickly. I mean, you see here, it's a slip. It's really difficult, but this is the problem here. You need to, I've mentioned it several times, they have to be clinical. He's actually tried to be a little bit clever and dink it up and over, and he's actually kicked the ground. If you see that again, instead of just maybe being positive, either go round or have a shot, but he's done neither.
So one of the new faces is coming on. Dejan Kulusevski, the January loan signing from Juventus, who's won the Coppa Italia in the past. He scored in the final last year, is coming on for what Spurs will hope is the final 22 minutes. And Steven Bergwijn for Son Heung-min is another of their changes.
I think this is where Tottenham, in their squad that they have, especially after this transfer window, that they've got competition for places. You look at Moura and Son goes off, Kulusevski and Bergwijn comes in. There's competition for places. That's what you need to be at the top of this league.
Royal. Now sometimes these all Premier League FA Cup ties can be a bit of a disappointing affair. They can be a bit drab. This has been nothing like that at all. Excellent entertainment from the word go. Fair play to Brighton as well, because 2-0 down away from home against the Tottenham side that looked in the groove. They might have thought that their goose was cooked.
They've definitely played their part, haven't they? They've come out in the second half firing, trying to get back into it, and they did. But it's just a shame that they couldn't hold out just that little bit longer, stay tight at the back and really try and work on the goal that they obviously got there. It's a shame that.
So Lamptey goes off, and as a former Arsenal player, I'm sure Danny Welbeck wasn't exactly expecting a warm welcome at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
He was probably actually looking forward to it, wanting on the pitch, knowing that that was going to happen. As Spurs players on, he'll be looking to silence the crowd.
Well, he scored a late goal to earn a 1-1 draw at Leicester in Brighton's last game. He also scored a 91st minute equaliser in London in December to get a draw at Chelsea. Here's Basuma.
He's got his shooting boots on tonight. He's looking to get involved in the action. Again, there's just too much space. There's only one thought in his mind is to get a shot off. He needs to get it on target.
No helpful deflection there. Appointed in May 2019, linked with Spurs over the summer, Graham Potter, he once again stressed that he's happy at Brighton. He's mentioned with regard to managerial roles at Everton, Arsenal and Newcastle over the past year or so as well. Since taking over at Brighton, he's led them to their highest Premier League points totals in back-to-back seasons. They're also just 11 points off that number with 16 games of this campaign to go as well. So just as the points totals are rising, so his stock is too.
His name literally gets mentioned with every available job that comes up. Can you imagine the Brighton fans? They must be absolutely raging. They just know what's going to be coming.
I've probably not endeared myself to them just now either then. Here's Basuma. Veltman. Basuma. That face just looked a bit off the pace this evening. Nice turn that from Gross. Decent looking ball in as well. Royal can't get there. Cucurella collects. Lloris has to stay. Reguilón got his head to it. Basuma might have another go. No, he's not going to get the free kick. And all of a sudden, it's 3-on-4 if Spurs can play this right. Poked forwards by Kulusevski to the fellow substitute Bergwijn. The Swede centre-back is Højbjerg. Misplaced pass from him.
It'll be interesting to see how Kulusevski integrates into this team. I mean, as we said before, there's a lot of competition with the likes of Lucas Moura and his pace. He's very left-footed, he'll want to come in, probably link up with Harry Kane. So I'm looking to see how these sorts of little plays develop into this Tottenham side.
Brighton have actually only lost 2 games away from home all season. 2-0 at Aston Villa in the league in November, which was the only one that happened over the course of 90 minutes. The other coming in the League Cup when they lost on penalties at Leicester after a 2-2 draw in October. So they've travelled well.
It's a real good record away from home in the Premier League. It's tough, very tough every game. And to have that sort of record just shows you the direction that they're actually aiming for.
They've got a job to do if they're to avoid defeat on their travels tonight.
You can see what they're trying to do. Brighton, they're desperate to get back into this game. They're trying to get balls into the box. Cucurella flying forward, and Danny Welbeck has now got that ability in here. It's a great effort here. I mean, we're just obviously watching it again. It's Son's pace, it's his power, his directness. He gives defenders problems, but he's got that awareness then to try and get it to Kane, who just slips in, and any good striker will always be there.
Here's Moda for Brighton. They have struck late a number of times this season, but they need to do so twice in the final 16 minutes or so tonight. Welbeck's in there, Mopé too, Cucurella, intelligent, Mopé, and again just not looking as sharp as he'd like to.
Yeah, he just gets crowded out. You see what he's trying to do, but Tottenham defend really well.
Kulusevski behind Bergwijn, will be picked up by Reguilón. Bergwijn slightly behind the Dutchman, which allows Moda to nip in. Basuma feeding Cucurella. Welbeck, a little shove from Romero, and Welbeck's managed to win the throw. Well, Christian Romero only recently back from that hamstring injury that he suffered with Argentina in mid-November, and he's not going to last the full 90 tonight. You're going to see the lesser spotted Joe Rodon come on for the Argentine.
Looks like he's cramping up everywhere. I mean, I know how that feels. I mean, this stadium it's got a very big pitch, so he's done his bit, he's done well, he's defended when he's had to, and he's come out with the ball, and the use of the ball has been good, so good steps for him tonight.
So Romero makes way, and here comes Joe Rodon. All of his last 6 appearances have been in cup games, most recently in the FA Cup with the win over Morecambe last month. He's only made the 1 Premier League appearance this season, which came as a substitute in their defeat at Crystal Palace in September. And the other arrival from Juventus, Rodrigo Bentancur, will also get a run out. Well, they're trying to get him on now for Harry Winks. Although there seems to be a bit of a hold-up. Well, the change can be made. So the Argentinian Bentancur joins the Swede Kulusevski. Two of the players who came in, while 5 were moved on. And those Spurs fans, it was interesting that there seemed to be a little bit of a tinge of disappointment with their business during the window, but these are 2 players who have done pretty well at Juventus. They're not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, they're definitely quality players. I don't think you can get away from that. If you play for Juventus, you're a top quality international player. Recently they haven't played so much, so the fans are maybe going to have to be a little bit patient with them until they get up to speed, but there's no doubting their technical ability and their class.
Tottenham getting the free kick here. Højbjerg's header. Bentancur towards Kulusevski. Cucurella underneath it. Højbjerg jostling. Reguilon won it. Bergwijn nearly picked up the pieces. Here goes Pascal Gross. Veltman in support. Gross delivers the cross. Welbeck waits and gets and doesn't control.
That's an opportunity. It's a lovely ball, and I think that's why Danny Welbeck's been sent onto the field, to cause a problem with balls in. I think he just takes his eye off it. Emerson Royal probably just does enough to put him off, and it hits off his knee. It's really unlucky, but he should do better there.
Has won the FA Cup in the past with Arsenal. Couldn't make an impact on Spurs territory there. So Evan Ferguson gets a go, the 17-year-old Irishman. Got an assist as a substitute on his last appearance, which was in the FA Cup, the victory at West Bromwich Albion, when he teed up Jakob Moder, who he's just come on for. This is only his 3rd ever career appearance. Kulusevski.
It's amazing to see that. I mean, players are just getting younger and younger. To be playing on this stage of your career that early on is what an experience for the youngster.
Can you guess who he's the son of?
Oh, here we go. You're just going to put me on the spot.
Barry Ferguson.
The son of Barry Ferguson.
Former Coventry and Colchester midfielder. Here's Kulusevski. Comes here for Kane. Bentancur. Here's Kane. Royal. Kulusevski in support. Højbjerg wanted it. Goes to Bentancur instead. Now Reguilon. This is Kane. Lobbed in, and Cucurella just blocked off Kulusevski. Well, Brighton have scored equalisers in the final 10 minutes in 6 of their last 7 away games, but they need 2 goals in the last 10 minutes this evening.
I think it's a big ask, isn't it? I mean, as well as they've done in the second half, to score another 2 goals is going to be difficult.
Højbjerg. All about game management from Tottenham now. Kane. Rolled on for Reguilon. Bergwijn makes the offer. Digged in by Bergwijn, too high for Kane and not close enough to Kulusevski.
I mean, it's lovely footwork, isn't it? He manipulates the ball so well. As a former player, I love to see that, how he can just control the ball, and he tries to do the right thing, dink to the back post, just got a little bit too much on it.
4 of his 5 starts this season have come in cup competitions. Popped up with 3 goals in his last 5 games, Bergwijn, including that incredible late double at Leicester.
I was actually surprised when there was talk of him leaving, when Ajax came calling, because I think he's got so much to offer this team.
Cucurella and Mopé again, not the touch he was hoping for. Welbeck's up there, Ferguson too. Basuma. Brighton's passing accuracy has actually been better than Tottenham's on the night.
Not there.
Curse of the commentator, I think it's called, although they picked up the ball here. Mopé, good challenge from Davinson Sanchez. Bentancur with the party trick.
Lovely feet. The fans are enjoying that one.
They enjoy that pass as well. Kulusevski.
I think he doesn't quite know his teammates yet. I don't think Højbjerg is going to be many of those lung-busting runs forward.
But Kulusevski's got it here. What a chance this is him to make an immediate impact, and Bergwijn has missed an absolute sitter to send Spurs comprehensively through to the next round of the Cup.
You say that it's a sitter, and again it's sloppy play. I mean, you can't be giving the ball away there to Kulusevski. You think he's got one thing in his mind, he's got the intelligence just to lay it off, he's just leaning back. I think Bergwijn, he's got his name up in lights there. It takes a little bit of a bobble, but he's leaning back, sky high, real miss.
He scored in the League Cup quarter-final win against West Ham here in December, and should have got one to advance Tottenham to the next round of this cup competition.
I mean, it's crazy to me to sit here and say there was a little bobble there on a pitch that's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, it's not exactly Agbra
No.
from earlier on.
That's what the FA Cup's all about. I mean, going to places like that, seeing performances. I mean, the FA Cup is brilliant. I used to always love being a part of it.
Well, Tottenham are unbeaten at home in the league under Antonio Conte. They lost 1-0 to Chelsea in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg here last month, but they're going to get the job done on home turf this evening, barring something remarkable from Brighton in the closing stages. But if any team will know that it's not over till it's over, it's Spurs, after what happened in their favour at Leicester not that long ago.
Yeah, that was some dramatic finish to a game. They'll be hoping they don't see that again tonight, but yeah, what a finish.
Spurs have consecutive league home games after this as well. They play Southampton on Wednesday, then Wolves come here. Hacked away by Højbjerg. And here's Kane. Bergwijn wants it. Bergwijn tried to give it back to Kane, and Bergwijn has got it back.
Don't think anybody wanted to take charge of that situation there, did they?
Here's Basuma for Brighton. 5 of the 90 remain. Free kick, and Basuma unhappy once again with only the award of a free kick, and Stuart Atwell has got his card out to dish out some further punishment. I mentioned that Wolves are coming up in the not too distant future for Spurs here. The former Wolves man Matt Doherty's going to get a very late cameo.
I don't think you can have too many complaints there about a yellow card. Bentancur obviously just coming into the game a little bit off the pace. Has to pull Basuma back, so it's definitely a yellow card.
And after that sending off on international duty, Emerson Royal with a big contribution, even if it didn't lead to a goal being chalked down in his favour. His cross deflected in for Spurs second. He's off now. Doherty on. Gross into the box. Dunks up there. Doesn't make any contact.
They're throwing everything at them now. They know they're in the last chance saloon. They're getting the ball into the box. It's just too high. You need to... It needs to be drilled in more so you can then go and attack it, so the pace is on the ball, so you can get a directed header on target. When it's a little bit loopy like that, it's always going to be difficult.
Did enjoy a very memorable evening in a cup competition in North London when Östersund of Sweden won at the Emirates in the Europa League round of 32 back in 2017-18. They did go out overall on aggregate in that tie. Won the Swedish Cup as well with Östersund, the club's first major trophy. But they're going out here and nearly in emphatic fashion with Reguilon denied.
Yeah, it's unlucky. It's a good move. From a Brighton point of view, it's not great, because it comes from a throw-in. They work it really well across the Reguilon. He gets good contact on it, but it's straight down the keeper's throat. It was an easy save in the end up.
Miscontrol. Mope chases. So Tottenham heading through to round 5 of the FA Cup for the 6th time in the last 7 seasons.
I think it's a trophy they're going to have to take real seriously this year. I know they do in previous years, of course they do, but this is the last opportunity really to win something this season, and Antonio Conte and this team will be desperate to win something.
And the race for 4th place in the Premier League still very much on for Spurs as well as a few other clubs. Here's Cucurella. Decent looking delivery once again. Veltman. Just wonder if Graham Potter will be wondering what might have been if he'd have started with the back four with Veltman and Cucurella at full back.
You literally just said what I was thinking there. But the same thing was going through my mind. If they started the way they did in the second half, the same formation, you wonder if it would have been different, probably, because I think they've been by far better in this second half.
Hearing there's going to be 5 minutes added on for Brighton to try and take us into extra time, but it's Spurs who are on the move. Kane for Kulusevski. For the 5th round taking place tomorrow. The next round of fixtures in early March is being played in midweek. And the quarterfinals take place on the second to last weekend in March. Confirmation of the 5 additional minutes. Cucurella scampering after that one. It's going to be a free kick. No. Mope. Can they make something of it? It's Gross. Mope sticks out a boot. Not ideal, that from Bergwijn. Bentancur's there. So's Harry Kane. And that's intelligent play from Harry Kane.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He feels the pressure on his back. He's always going to go down, just kind of relieve that pressure that they were under for the last minute or so. But I think from a Graham Potter, we'll just see this opportunity again. It's just a foul. From Graham Potter's point of view, I think what he'll be most disappointed with is how easy Tottenham could break on them and create big opportunities. I think that's been the hardest probably point for him to deal with throughout the night, even though they've played well in certain situations.
Helped on by Doherty. Cucurella. So Tottenham bouncing back from that first league loss under Antonio Conte. Bergwijn. Højbjerg. Kane feeding Doherty. Kulusevski's in so much room here. Kulusevski teeing it up for Kane!
You know Kulusevski, what he's going to try and do. He's going to cut back into his left, but it's the way to pass. That's the technical bit. That's what he's very good at. You know he's wanting to go back into his left foot, but here you just see it just rolls it nicely right into his path where he can have just one strike at it. Harry Kane, even though it's on his left foot, you do expect a little bit more from him because his bar's that high, but unfortunately goes way over.
Looking to snatch a hat-trick in stoppage time. Caicedo, and again. In leaps Davinson Sanchez. Doherty doesn't find Kulusevski. Bissouma. This is Veltman. Veltman towards Mopé and behind from Bentancur. 2 goals needed in 2 minutes for Brighton and Hove Albion here.
Brighton, to be fair to them, they've kept going, they've kept on the pressure, they've not kind of got their heads down, they've tried to still get back into this game.
Up go the heads, and Webster couldn't get anything on it.
It's into a dangerous area, it's a nice cross, but it just evades everybody and it goes out for a throw-in, and again just releases the pressure. Tottenham will just look to see out the remaining minutes here.
Kane. Bergwijn will chase this. Sanchez is out. Doherty got his head to it. Mopé away from Davinson Sanchez. Caicedo. Pascal Gross. Joel Veltman. Knocked in towards Welbeck. Oh, and Lloris spilled it, and it nearly came the way of the 17-year-old Evan Ferguson.
Yeah, it's a lovely little just clip ball into a dangerous area, and look, that's what Welbeck's on for. It's always going to be difficult from there. It should be easy catch for Lloris. Lets it slip out his gloves, but he's onto it in a flash. Ferguson is there, just ready to mop up just in case, but wasn't to be.
Dunk, Bissouma. Free kick.
Well, that was a naughty little nutmeg there.
And the 5 additional minutes are now up.
Bissouma's been really good at this tonight. I think that driving runs through midfield, he's been committing people, but that's a sore one. The bottom of your back, Reguilon's really going to feel that one.
So Tottenham make it 8 home wins against Brighton in a row, and Antonio Conte's side have managed to seal safe passage through to the 5th round. Harry Kane's wonderful strike sent them on their way. Emerson Royal's deflected cross off Solly March made it 2-0. Yves Bissouma with a deflected effort of his own gave Brighton hope, but it didn't last for too long as a rampaging Son Heung-min helped to set up Kane for another killer goal, which sends Tottenham through. Tottenham Hotspur 3, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.